Welcome to Bubble Tea Time, everyone. I'm your host, Adam Caribou Karabatakis, and I'm joined today by Dan Z, aka Dan, Coco the
Hello.
Dragon. Sorry, I cut you off there. Sorry,
Howdy.
Coco the Dragon. Oh, okay, we almost got it. Chase Pentamaster.
Hello, hello.
We nailed that one. And Mr. DefyIncite himself, Miles, and his chunkster of a cat.
He is out of the picture right now.
Dang.
He left.
Well, how's everyone doing? You guys ready to jump into it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right,
yeah,
let's do
let's
some
do it.
match recaps. All right, we're starting off with Second Breakfast versus The Good Boys. Second Breakfast victory, and Dan wanted to talk about it.
Yes. Clearly, we had a game plan here. It was neutralize Steven and figure it out from there. What we wanted to do against this team comp particularly was keep eye on flanks, and we just, in this particular fight, we were able to stop the flank from happening, and Kogo comes in, abandoning top lane to just secure and lock down the entire back line as Misa and I are dealing with the Vladimir. And from this play, we were able to secure not only Dragon, but also 2 turrets and swinging the game fully into our control. Honestly, I told this to basically all of the good boys after that game that felt like the hardest game so far for us this season, or at least for me, it felt like that. I don't know about you, Coco. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I sort of agree with that sentiment in the sense that it was a composition that the good boys had cooked up where you have multiple threats to create that dive composition that they wanted. And Dan pointing out that, we have to keep eyes on all the flank points and looking for which carry is going to be having the Yumi on top of it and when are they going to be looking for that engage and vision control around those neutral objectives like the dragons were very much a top priority in our minds. And it all eventually came down to the fact that I just don't think Good Boys had that cohesion yet to really get that Yumi support fully unlocked, because you have those multiple three like composition threads of like the Vlad, the Xin Zhao, and the Diana all being able to dive onto our backline, and it takes a lot of the priority out of our grasp to create those plays, and having to be sort of like a passive like countermeasure composition against that is really difficult to play into, and then getting resources on top of it just creates so much more tension for us to really overcome. Also 1 in 9 Vladimir, so I don't know what else to say besides that, but it's as it is.
To quote Greg, Steven's running it.
True.
Fast.
Oh,
Feels
too
bad.
soon, man.
It is
Too
tragedy.
soon.
Love you though, Steven.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Good analysis, guys. You're killing it.
Wonderful.
TSC versus MBB. MBB still looking for their first win after a TSC victory. I think that's me talking about the clip. All right, so we got like a team fight going, but Yone's not there, right? Yone's got the Rift Herald. He's trying to end the game. And so there's a bit of a split here, but this is basically where TSC opens and closes the game. Yone was already getting pretty fed. I think MBB had a lot better chance if this push doesn't work out, but it did. Yone misses the ult. Yone misses his Q3. Yone gets the kill, and gets the Nexus turret.
Well, what's interesting about all of this is how much it was a struggle for the Milwaukee Bucks to really get out of this challenging the side lane mindset and trying to play their own game. And I think that's like the biggest struggle right now for MBB is that they build these good compositions and you have that checklist of like what's your win condition and what's the opponent's win conditions, and you're too worried about one of those like one of those play styles to really think about the other. And I think that's where it's like they have to sit back during draft, finish out. Doesn't matter. I think the whole composition of themselves was fine. Like the Maokai and Diana, you got a great front line to create some engagement, but you need to sit back after that draft, look at what you have, look at all the tools and the damage dealers that are in that composition, and then assess to play to those styles instead of trying to counter that of your opponents.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I don't know that this game was also like. I mean, Plub just kind of popped off. He's been playing great all season. He had 6K gold lead at the end of the game in 25 minutes. I mean, I think he won this one pretty hard, and I think it's gonna be. It's hard to create a comp around it. What do you think, Chase? You've been standing there all still.
Okay. I mean, the way their comp is designed, if Yon pops off, then obviously kind of just GG, right? I mean, if I can shut down the back line and then they don't really have a hard enough CC. I guess they do have hard CC to like stop the Yon, but it's also just really hard. If he gets a good ult off, pretty much the game. And then of course like Xayah and Janna, it's really hard to just like run over the bot lane when they're playing so safe and such hard to disengage. So I mean, I don't know, because going late, it's kind of like, it could go either way. Lux gets to the point where she can one-shot people. Syndra's terrifying late game. Diana can just kill people as well. But then there's also Yon, insane champion. And then Vi to just like jump all over the back line. So, I mean, I think they played their comp really well. And then once Plobe got strong enough, they just, put him in the side lane. They put him top there and then just ran top all the way down with the Rift Herald.
Yeah, TSC looking scary this season. All
They
right.
always do so far.
Anything else, or are we moving on to EXO versus PIO?
We can skip this one if.
Oh no!
We're just gonna go right ahead to
You
AR.
literally have our guest here.
Oh dear.
EXO popping off with their first victory. No one thought they could do it. All of you guys were wrong. Coca, you want to walk us through this one?
Yeah, let's run it through because I didn't want to talk about it with Chase per se, but like we've got Miles here to sort of break this all down. And coming from it, with everyone sort of going all bananas about the Magi Soulsteal and Nunu, this fight was one of the big points of how XO was really able to get that control back in this game. And it's all in the top right corner of the screen. Like it is Miles right here on our guest chair, flashing in, getting a 4-man 5 Darius hemorrhage stack and being able to clear out in that entire backline and then even the game back up. And a lot of these fights that happened throughout the entire Rift were based off of the positioning that Miles was able to put in, get into that front line, and not just be that tanky front line, but be the sustainable one where you're going out, you're dishing just as much damage as you're taking, and it allows the rest of the team, both of Mayan and of Two Hands, to actually get back into the fight and then create that zoning pressure with the damage once again to get on it. So, I can only say what I can see from the sidelines, but Miles, you were in the thick of it. You were getting the triple kills, the double kills on that Darius. How was it for you and for your team going through that victory and getting that first win?
So, I mean, the entire time we felt like we were in a pretty good position in the macro sense. We had there was never a time where we fell really far behind in gold. Even when we did lose fights, we kept a tower lead for a while. We had all of the dragons. There was never a point during that game where we felt like, oh, this isn't going our way. That was the exact game plan, was get me strong enough to create space so that Mayan could do what he wanted to do on Lucian. So to see it really work out like that, it was a great feeling for all of us, and honestly, I don't know, my team kept me alive later in the game when I pulled Chase over the wall. So that's all I got to say about my team.
Oh dear.
I think this was a really good look from EXO. I think a lot of them were just doing, a lot of people on that team were doing what they needed at the time. I mean, Mayan's job was to sell out for kills, right? But like, Vid the mid, right? I got right, Vid, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He, I don't know. His job was to put damage down and die, and that's what he was doing, and he wasn't shy about it.
Wait.
No, I mean there was
Can't say
that
part of
fight.
his job was die.
I mean that was his job though.
He's not playing Karthus.
He's playing Brand. No, there was a fight at Dragon where it looked like EXO got caught out. Brand gets a huge ult off. I think they two of them died. No one dies on PIO, but they got so low that like you win the fight losing 2 deaths to 0, and it was really interesting to watch.
I know the exact fight you're talking about. I've gone to the game a couple times myself because I want to learn from my games. It didn't look like I was caught out. I was absolutely caught out. There is no I should not have walked back into that dragon pit. No questions. I lived for so long because I had gotten my sterics before that fight. And it put in so much work. I was able to get, I think it was a 3-man pull. And Bran just got a full combo off before he died. And it was curtains at that point. And then they re-engaged onto Mayan as soon as he got culling, because they had to, because he dashed in with culling.
Right. Yeah, well, I think it was a good game from XO, but we'll see if the analysts gave them any respect for the next week. They didn't. All right,
Spoilers
moving on
made.
to our next game, AR versus THD. It's an AR victory. You hate to see it. What do we see from this game?
I
Well-
mean, oh wait, is this not me? My
Go
bad.
ahead, Miles. Go ahead, Miles.
No, I forgot. I'm B. That's whatever.
Understandable.
I mean, it's a good pick pull, obviously. But the damage from over the wall with Zareth is just, you get to see it so strong here. Jin misses his ult and just doesn't. I don't know. Jin kind of feels ineffective this fight because he missed so much of his long range damage, and Zareth landed so many of his spells that it's just, when two of these long range champions are fighting, if you don't hit it, you lose, right? And I feel like this didn't really come down to positioning or outplays. Sometimes you miss your spells, and it just felt like there just wasn't enough damage that came out from the THD side.
I guess, but it's also sort of like a mind game when you have those sort of semi-global ultimates, right? Like the Jin and the Zareth, where if one of you pops that ulti first and you're stationary, and the other has that like that just giant ring that Zareth pops up, or the Jin curtain, it's like, all right, well, I know where my target is, so I'm just gonna fire at that. And we had a good example of that with Angela literally just dumping like a giant bomb on top of a Jin every single time in our game. So it's that mind game, and then also I think the Zareth not only did just that, but the fact that he can just stay long ranged against Victor and just not have to participate with him at all. And when you don't need to deal with Brian in the mid lane, he loses so much of his actual priority and tempo that you just get choked out. And then the rest of the composition just tells the story of, all right, well, you don't have to participate. You can't be the leader for your squad. Now we have our own engage and we have our own poke, and we can just play around with objectives and just bleed the rest of your team dry. And that's where, for me, I don't know if you agree, or if the rest of the analyst desk agrees with me, either Chase or Dan, but I think the biggest problem right now for True Heart Destiny is actually in their name. They don't have a heart just yet, and they need to get that blood pumping, because right now they're looking dead in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Damn. I think part of it too has to do with them. They're trying things out right now, right? It's early
Sure.
season. Brian's not letting Tactical Gazelle get on his comfort picks, right? We're just seeing like a lot of different looks from them. And I think it'll come. I think they're sandbagging it a little bit.
Sure.
true.
I absolutely expect THD to look better later in the season. It seems like Brian's philosophy is all about getting his team to a place where they can play not just their comfort picks. You know what I mean? I absolutely
Sure.
expect to see things from him later in the season.
Oh yeah, since Steven isn't here, I guess I have to say it. Brian Diff is a real thing. I think that's pretty much all that's in that. Obviously, later in this later in the season, with the Brian coach, then it'll be THC will look a lot more terrifying once they get more comfortable in their picks. But as of right now, they're playing pretty flexible. But
I mean, it's tried and tested. Like right now, like we have 3 people on the analyst desk sitting right here that have gone through the Brian coaching between Caribou, myself, and Pentamaster, and all of us won a championship when we were going through the Brian
is true.
training arc.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not worried. Also, and I would never say this to his face, but Mayo's playing pretty cracked right now. He's been looking good. So
Yeah.
it's good that they've got a strong top side.
we can cut that part out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we-
we'll
Okay,
get
okay.
it out, scrub it out.
All right. Well, moving on to our last game of the evening or of the week. Deep Dive versus B Gang. Really hard fought game by both teams. I think everyone looked good. Some people were just a little better than others.
Chase, want to take us down through memory
Yeah.
lane?
Yeah. So, I mean, like in this team fight, Deep Dive just played it incredibly well. To be like 100% honest, it's also just really hard to get onto the Caitlyn, Gale Force, and uh, net it away, and then also the Hecarim breaking the blast shield, and then also still getting the fear off was pretty massive. And I mean, it was just like unfortunate event after unfortunate event for B Gang, to be 100% honest. I don't think they played it poorly at all. I just think that like by that point in the game, it was kind of hard for them to get a fight without getting like a pick first, and then also with like I said before, with Kate just getting so far out, it's just really difficult to commit onto that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'd
like
also like to highlight Chashu Ramanyana on the subbing in and just having a monster game on the Yorick. It was very much insane.
true. I felt like that York pick was super like hella hype because York's very rarely picked. I think the last time I actually saw it like in professional play was like with Alorum way back in the day, like an amateur,
Oh boy.
and you can't really disrespect a Yorick, and I think that's where the rest of B Gang just kind of shot themselves in the foot. Is like, all right, well, Walker's going Vayne top again. The only guy who I think's played a range top in the Bubble Tea League so far this season, and those kind of counter picks kind of catch on quick, and I don't think they're going to be able to get that out again this time soon, or at least in the near future, maybe in the playoffs, but. Well, we'll have to see what they're cooking up behind the scenes.
Well, I can tell you, we did not expect a Yorick counter. That caught me off guard for sure. But it worked. So,
I mean,
you live and learn.
did you expect to get Xin Zhao that game?
I didn't, and that's why we decided. We talked it over before the game. We said we're just going to throw this one so that no one bans Ninja in the future, and we can keep getting it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think it was worthwhile. And that is all of our games from last week. We're moving on to Daniel stats.
Oh, full
Let's
name
go.
going. So today we got a classic in the top lane. The Great Flash, Mayo versus Karosaki Ace, Steven. These guys have been playing pretty well this season. Honestly, this is probably the best I've seen Mayo during the regular season in a while. And I must say, like, I just want him to go off. He always says Steven's the best. And I'm ready for him to say, I'm the best. I beat Steven. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for this kind of matchup as well, because like you guys had sort of defended Mayo, with sort of the struggle that they're going through right now, that he's still that star player, and when you're comparing him up against who he sort of sees as a superior, or even just as like an idol in a way, and then having that Brian training arc too, you stack those on top of another, and like you can see already he's pretty close, like statistically pretty close to what Kiyosaki Ace is pumping out this season. It's just that the one major inkling and concern for me is that damage per minute, and that just shows sort of the pressure that Kiyosaki is able to dump out onto other teams and be able to help sort of provide that front line of defense for the rest of that squad on Good Boys. And that's where Mayo needs to just get that extra punch of confidence, or that extra voice in the back of his head saying like, you can do this, you can be that front line and be that engaging tool to get those fights started. And I'm really excited to see what they're going to be bringing out this week.
All right, Miles, as a fellow top leader, what are your thoughts on these two?
First thought while looking at this is that after a 1-9 game, he's still this close to Mayo in stats, and that's scary in and of itself, right? Steven has been a dominant top laner, is known as a dominant top laner in this league, and I really look forward to this matchup. I think Steven's going to take it. I don't sorry, I don't really have much else to say on that one, actually.
Yeah, that was the perfect amount of stuff to say. We love it. All right. Anyone else have anything to add to our matchup of the week? Should we move on to predictions?
All right.
Move
do it.
on. Let's see it.
You kind of spoiled it already with what you were saying about executive order, but I'm down to see what the rest of the sheet is like and what we predicted.
Yeah, I'm doing a really good job. All
Our
right.
producer
So we
Elena.
got EXO versus Deep Dive. No one's given EXO credit even after they looked great last week. Just give me your raw, unfiltered thoughts, Miles. What do you got? What do you got to say to the haters?
I look forward to this match. I really honestly think that my team has reached the mindset they need to play cohesively to win games. And I think that last week was just the start.
All right, someone else give it to me. Why is Deep Dive going to win despite that sentiment?
I mean, we've seen Deep Dive be a lot more consistent than EXO. And I think they're pretty stable across the board. And I'm gonna expect once again Miles to step up to the plate after last week. And he proved what we talked about. Like, he definitely came in big, and I'm hoping that we see a repeat so that we can't just write off EXO's win so far as a fluke.
Yeah, I don't want to beat up on Miles too much. Putting all this weight of responsibility on him against Deep Dive, but it is a team game, and like Miles said, he thinks that the team has found their stride and has found the camaraderie that they need, and that's step one. We need to see what step two is, and honestly, for me right now, it's drafting. I've had some questions of concern for drafts here and there. Like, you've had some strong points for sure, like the Darius was great, though it's where you're sitting with a team that has a very interesting champion pool and trying to make that effective against Deep Dive, where you have Dan Lee and Gerg in the bottom lane who have been doing a phenomenal job. That's where I want to see coming out from the science lab this week is what's your answer to that bottom lane? Because I'm not worried about the top. That's where I'm going to be curious with this matchup.
That's been my main concern for at least for the last couple weeks, right? Is that even if I go completely neutral top, stuff happens bot a lot, and we've been taking some hard losses in bot lane. I can't go too far into detail, obviously, but I don't think that that's going to be as much of an issue. I think there are some answers to that, some ways to weak side a little bit more gracefully that should show that are promising.
Okay.
All right. Well, I love it. I'm looking forward to this one. Next up, we have PIO versus AR. And pretty much AR centered picks. I will say every game this week is one team in the top half of the bracket versus one team in the bottom half of the bracket. There's no like 2-win versus 2-win team or one win versus 1-win game. So a lot of these picks were just kind of everyone doing chalk, but not everyone. Miles, you're just talking. Chase, why is your team gonna win this game?
Why are we gonna win this game? Let's see. So it's gonna be a really hard game. This game's gonna be so hard. I mean, this game's like obviously they're 3-0, right? They've been playing really well. They have stability almost across the board. So it's like really hard to punish them. They don't have any like super glaring holes that you can really like go after. It's really hard to try to like build a team around it in a sense. I don't really have any idea what I want to do for draft against these guys. But I don't know. It's just gonna be like a really hard game. We're just gonna have to play like incredibly well, way better than what we played last week. And then hopefully just have better macro and just better landing phases. But if we don't bleed out early game, then hopefully we can win in the late game.
Well, I respect that because I'm also afraid of AR. I rated them highest on my power rankings, and they've proved me right. They're a very difficult team to plan against. Here's what I think PO has going for it, though, even though I didn't choose them. I think PO had some moments of brilliance in the last game. I think that they had some macro plays that were really phenomenal. They had some roams and some dives that looked really great. Chase was all over the map, especially early. And I think that they'll be up for the challenge.
All right, I'm ready to break that challenge right now. You know, we
Okay.
talk about the EXO curse, but what about the AR buff? This team is a monster during the regular season. 2 seasons in a row now, they've been top of the standings. And I think this is going to be a third season of them still being strong.
You think they're gonna have what it takes to translate that to playoff victory?
If they go undefeated during the regular season, no. They have to drop one game.
I don't know. The XO curse is broken. Also, side note about the XO curse, I've completely accepted that it is now on PO for the rest of the season. So,
Oh no.
but yeah, I mean, XO broke their curse, so the curse of winning or going first in the regular season and then not winning the championship, will that be broken this season?
I gotta defend my pick for a second here. I think PO's the team to take the win off AR here. I really do. In terms of raw statistical ability, you have the best support and mid laner in the game or in the league on PO. Pika Pika is the first player to hit over 100,000 damage done to champions. Chase has a 326 vision score, the first person to hit over 300.
He had a 50-minute game.
I
Hold
know.
on.
I know. I understand that he had a 50-minute game, but he also has 54 assists. Even in the loss against XO, Chase looked strong. Chase on that Leona. What was your final score? It was like what
I tried to block it out.
It was like 1-7-15 or something. I mean, dude. I feel like if you two can work out your synergy issues, I feel like PO can be a really dominant team this season.
Now, I want to kind of go off topic here a little bit because Miles just put out he just used the dance stats to back up his argument, and I'm thinking here and the way that you did it, you're like Pika Pika first person to ever hit, what was it, 100,000 damage,
100K
right?
damage. Yeah, in
Right?
this season.
Yeah. We need a new segment, and it's called the milestones. All right. Anyone with me on this?
Oh, I
think
like
this is gonna
it.
be
I
great.
like it.
I'm with it.
Too good.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Producer Elena, let's make it happen for next week. But
So,
not I just want to share my 2 cents on this as well, and I do think that PIO statistically, yes, is a team that has the capability to take on the Acid Rabbits. For me, and that comes down to how those two teams draft and sort of the team fighting and macro play around them. And that's where it's going to be very, very difficult. Because if you don't give Chase that unlockable support to go out and roam everywhere, if he's stuck there on support duty bottom lane, then you're going to have all that free roam for Wang to actually do some more work in this jungle. And that's where I think is the most difficult problem for me. Even though Poe Panda is a really good jungler as well, Wang has been impressing me to a substantial amount, to be fair, this season. And if he isn't tamed a little bit with Chase's assistance to help sort of secure the jungle and get vision under control around those neutral objectives, it may just be the turning point to where Acid Rabbits can still just roll over this game based off of just how well they perform as a team.
alright.
All right. That's some good discussion, boys. Let's talk about THD GB. We got a lot of GB and a little THD.
So I was pretty 50-50 on this one. As much as I sort of tried to strike up that conversation of how THD is doing right now in this season so far, this is a pretty 50-50 bout for me. And I don't know, it feels like this all the time with me with any Good Boys games. Like Good Boy games to me just feel 50-50, even though Kirisaki Ace is just a monster in the top lane and can really take over those games. I'm not convinced on the bottom lane just yet. I'm not too sure because that champion pool, it's pretty short, and if you just ban it out, that's easy pickings for them. And if teams are smart enough to get around that and start exploiting that mannerisms, then you are in a world of hurt if you are the Good Boys squad. And THD is the team to do that. But I'm not sure that THD's there just yet, and that's why I'm giving it to Good Boys. Not to mention they got red side, and red's my favorite color, so I just got to give them there.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see this game. This is probably my favorite game that's going to happen this week. I think it's a pretty even match, like looking lane for lane. Mayo against Steven, if Mayo plays really well, which he's been playing really well, I think he can, hold Steven back and then maybe take a kill off of him here and there. And of course, Charles versus Landry in the jungle. That'll be pretty interesting to see, and how much pressure Brian can give for Charles, and then also like vice versa, how much pressure Javi can give for Landry. Because I don't think that mid lane is just gonna go down easily. Either way, I think it's gonna be a bloodbath probably. And then also the bot lane, I don't know. I don't think it'll be like one sided at all. So I mean, it's like pretty even across the board, at least I think. Obviously the coin flip lanes are mid lane and then top lane, right? Because if mid lane, if Brian gets ahead on carry, then that's really scary. And then same thing goes for Steven. If Steven gets ahead on a carry, that's also really scary. So it's going to be a pretty interesting game, all in all.
And I mean, we've seen Javi carry a game for Good Boys already this season, so it's definitely more up in the air than it's not just going to be Brian doing whatever he wants. So it'll be interesting to watch.
I mean, with that in mind, I'm expecting to get the bananas carry finally, because that team is a triple threat team, but we just haven't seen the third threat just yet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. And our last game of the week, I think, we have two more.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Our second to last game of the week is TSC versus B, and you guys shocked the world with these picks. Tell me in detail how and why B Gang is going to win this game. Please.
Buzz, dude. Buzz. I don't know what else to say about it. Buzz, bro. It's sort of this weird conjunction for me in the top lane with Walker. I am very happy with how Walker has been doing off air in his other games. Like when I play with him, he feels like one of the better players in this league so far. He really understands what he needs to be doing as a team. He does have a little bit of a communication issue with knowing what he needs to relay to his team at any given time, especially when you are on those very niche picks like those Vayne tops of being like, I'm going side lane, I'm going to be pressuring here, we need some control, so on and so forth. So for him, if he can get over that hurdle, then he can really take over these games and sort of create that sort of carry vibe and start to become one of those top laners throughout the rest of the Bubble Tea League. The issue, though, is definitely that the Student Council has some ways to stop that. And, if Colin plays, I'm not sure if Colin is playing or not in that top side, because if he isn't, then I'm a little worried on who that sub is going to be, because that could actually be a pretty big counter to whatever the Bees want to be doing.
Yeah, I think another thing to look at is the jungle matchup here, because I always mess up the name. TSC's jungler. Anyone know?
James.
Yeah.
Is it Sataniel or James? We're just gonna go with James right now. Yeah. And so James obviously has had a pop off game and been somewhat consistent. And obviously, if he gets on one of his two main picks, then he's really, really scary. But also, Adam has plenty of carry potential, right? Given the right champ, and then also with how much pressure he can receive, or how much pressure Walker can put out on the top side, it's like pretty interesting to see how it'll like unfold, right? Because these two really aggressive junglers, and both of them work the map really well. So kind of like a toss up. One of them has help in mid lane, the other one has help in top lane, and it'll be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Adam, did you write any of those notes down?
Oh, no, but they save this. You can just watch it later.
Understandable. If that's the case, I just want to say, because we have Adam here right now, I like for me, piece of advice: just pick a lane and camp the shit out of it. Just mentally beat that person down to where they just do not have any morale for the rest of the game, and student council will just kick off that president of the student council like immediately. I don't know who the president is. Oh, it's Matt. Sorry, Matt, you're getting kicked off.
Go watch.
He's in chat right now. You can't
Hi,
just do
Matt.
that to him.
Go
You
rewatch.
might be voted off the student council island if Adam chooses to camp your lane, but that's my piece of advice.
I'm excited for this game. I think that honestly, I think that we've looked pretty bad the past couple weeks, and I think that there's a lot of salt on our team that we're ready to just like, you know,
Make
have a good
margaritas with?
showing, make
Sure.
margaritas with, yeah.
Yay.
So I think it's going to be a different B gang. I think it's going to be more like what you saw week 1, and I'm looking forward to it. All right. Well, our last game of the week is MBB versus SB. And I gotta say, this is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. Everyone chose Second Breakfast, including myself. But if we're looking at one upset for this week, this is what I'm going to call as my potential upset. I think that MBB is underperforming as well. And I think that they are just like that far away from putting it all together. I think that Nishant has looked really good in the games that he's played on BTL and just like the other games that I've seen him playing. Even though he's 0-4, he's been doing a really good job this season. I think that when they get the whole squad together, it's gonna be a really tough match.
For sure. Like I'm just looking at the whole roster and it's so coin flippy. Like every single player is such a coin flip. It's either they're going 0-10 or they're going 10-0. And like Mia and Elena, that's still a very deadly bottom lane. And if you give them those priorities, I'm thinking like if you're giving them Lux and poke comp like Lux Caitlyn as it is, or Jhin Morgana, what have you, if you give them that capability to just isolate that bottom lane and harass from afar and sort of get into a point where you don't have that laning phase anymore. You don't have side lanes. It's just neutral objective fight, and we're just throwing Qs out left and right and seeing what hits. That's where I'll be a little worried for the bottom side of the map, specifically because the fact that we have just a vision ward as our ADC. So that's pretty easy to just hit with a skill shot. But you never know. Like I said, it's a coin flip. It is a difficulty of trying to lock down how Milwaukee Bucks is going to be playing on the day.
Yeah, and coin flip is not inherently bad, right? It's just a high variance players.
Yeah.
And the coin's got to land on heads at some time. So maybe this
True.
is the week.
I mean, Nishant did say nobody's going to make him go 0-5 on week 4. So
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like some of these matchups, it's like, well, if the top side pops off, and then you kind of sacrifice the bot side, right? But also, Coco has to think about this. He's going against someone that's literally undiveable. It says it on his league profile. Okay, I've seen it several times. So
no,
it's how do you and he's Misa's counter. I just thought about that. He's literally
we
like Misa's
definitely thought about
kryptonite there.
this.
Yeah, and so like I don't know, man. I mean, we saw it last season, the literally undiveable top lane taking one off of Misa when they tried to dive him top. I mean, we told him, can't be diving Teddy because he's undiveable.
Yeah.
But no, but in all seriousness, Teddy plays pretty well on safe side, and then also pretty much what Coco was saying before. If Mina and Elena get rolling, it's really, really, really scary because they're both incredibly mechanically skilled and have pretty good team fights. So, you just kind of have to like watch how much you bleed in certain areas. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hearing that Teddy's a Dan's counter or a Misa counter. Misa is saying Dan's is a Misa counter. I'm saying Sataniel week 1 was a Misa counter. So we'll see. All right. Well, this is going. We got a bunch of good questions. So let's move right on to the questions. We'll start with the meme questions. From Javi, is this a kindred mask behind Coco?
Yes, it is a kindred mask behind me.
Which one?
Great.
It is both. Let me go get it. A friend of mine made it way
What?
back in the day.
Oh, it's the
You have
halves.
friends?
It is wearable. So let me see.
it's
if I can get a
kind of
better
sick
angle.
to be honest.
Dang.
Yep.
Damn.
It has the little mask points on the back that you can see. It's just boom. Pretty cool.
damn.
If you want to follow him, I think it's at Saber Grove on Instagram, I think, and he does a bunch of like custom stuff. It's a really cool guy. But yeah, that is a real Kindred mask.
I love it. All right, which team, sorry, will pick Zeri first, and why is that int? And I'll just kind of put a sub question in here. Will we see a Zeri pick this week?
I don't think we'll see a Zeri pick this week, but I also feel like B Gang will probably be the first to pick it.
Yeah.
Pal has
yeah,
been
that's
playing
true.
it religiously, so
Wait, from what I heard, all of B Gang are Zeri
my bad,
mains.
man.
So the question
All
is,
of
which
B
one
Gang
of
has been
them?
playing.
Which
So
one of
potential
them?
flex pick, kind of, it kind of interesting, but no, I mean, I do seriously think that B Gang would probably be the first team to pull it out.
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna see some Zeri games. I think new champs are broken, right? Like you just gotta figure it out quick enough. But I'm looking forward to it if we do.
Isn't she nerfed this match though? Did she get nerfed?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
got
she got
a nerf for an interaction with Runans.
Oh yeah, okay. So the Runans build doesn't work that much anymore.
Yeah,
Bummer.
Is that all that
Bummer.
got there?
Kind
think
of. I think
so.
they lowered her numbers a little bit too.
Did they? I'm not sure.
Maybe just a tad.
All right. Well, hopefully we see a Zeri this week, but because I think it'd be hype, but we'll
Mhm.
see. All right, from Angela, who is the MVP frontrunner right now?
Oh, it's too soon.
Oh,
First third of the
Ooh.
season, who do you vote for? My answers are Flo the Warrior and Dan Lee for 3. I think their teams
True.
run through them, and I think that they've been making it work. I think at the end of the season, it's going to be Walker, but I think right now it's those two.
Unbiased opinion on the Walker pick.
No, a very biased opinion, but I
Very
stand
Okay.
by it.
I could see Walker. I could
Mm.
definitely see Walker being MVP. It just depends on how the rest of the team performs, right? To get to that point where you can start raising up the cup and getting people on the pedestals and so on and so forth. I was going to say Kirasaki Ace until last week, but the other thing for me is probably I agree with Dan Lee for 3. I think he's been doing a phenomenal job on Deep Dive. I definitely need to watch more of their VODs because I have been missing out for sure on how well that whole bottom lane has been performing.
I actually got to pick the other side of that coin. I got to go with Girk 7. I got to go
As
with
a,
Greg.
Dang.
as a matter of fact, I am going to say this is my second MVP, and this is also a little biased. Angela, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Where did this
Yeah.
shit come from? Because all I know, like, this is my first season of the bubble tea, and people had just said, yeah, it's pretty coin flippy of if Angela's going to perform or not, and like her champion pool. And she's just playing everything under the sun and then some.
God, it's
and it's just
amazing.
like nuking shit. I'm like, I don't need to carry anymore. I thought I had to carry on this team. Now I can go and like be a responsible adult instead of just scrim solo queue for like 10 hours a day. But
Enter your draft with your own counter pick.
yes.
Yeah. I think it's especially
Yeah.
scary too because popping off in BTL is great, but popping off in BTL when your team isn't built around you is
Yeah.
so important. I mean, like Tactical Gazelle last year, right? Like team was not built
True.
around him, but he was getting like hella damage, hella kills, helping carry games, and I think that put their team in a really good position.
Mhm.
So it really adds to the Angel MVP run.
That's a stretch there.
Yeah,
MVP
well,
problems. That's going to be her rename.
they
MVP
can't all
problems.
be milestones.
True.
All right.
I mean,
Sorry.
I was to say, I think I just go with Dan Lee. He's been like the
Yeah.
most consistent. He's putting out damage, putting out kills. So I don't, and it's super early in the season, so I feel like everybody else has like one bit of inconsistency. So it's kind of hard to go with other people. And Dan Lee's been pretty consistent
True.
like all 3 games.
All right. Well, let's do one last question. It's a good question to go out on, and we kind of touched on it earlier. What is everyone's match of the week for the upcoming week? I'm going with SB MBB. I think it's going to be a really fun game. I think it'll be interesting to see if MBB gets their first win, and I'm looking forward to it.
I gotta go with the basic one, THD versus GB. I just think
Yeah.
that's going to be a fun little coin flip. I think that it sounds like it's the communal match of the week for this one.
Steve and Brian, hard to beat.
Oh, definitely, and just sort of the mentorship that Brian's going to be able to pull out, because man, that dude is doing teacher hours on whatever. He's not even getting paid for this. He's doing teacher hours on volunteer work. It's kind of nuts, but
So, like most teachers.
true. Man, that we could go on a rabbit hole in this, but that's gonna be nuts. But yeah, that's definitely my matchup for the week.
I mean, probably number one is gonna be THD and GB. Yeah, I mean, I think that match is gonna be. I feel like that match is gonna go two ways. One, it's gonna be just a stomp, or two, it's gonna be an absolute bloodbath, and it's gonna be amazing. But also, I think another one to look out for is actually, as much as I don't want to say this, EXO Deep Dive.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pretty good. Pretty like even matchups across the board, and or I guess like pretty somewhat even matchups. If bot lane can survive, because Deep Dive's bot lane has been on a tear. So if Man can survive bot lane and then put out damage later game, or I mean even if they can like run through bot lane with like prio picks like the Lucian Nami that they showed. And then also Miles up top, if he can get off the ground, that'll like help out a lot. But yeah, I mean it'll be a pretty good match.
Well, you took my match, which was EXO Deep Dive. I think, as you said, like I want to see those bot lanes go toe to toe. I've seen QE make some amazing plays in the past, and I think that it's definitely doable for EXO.
All right. Well, sounds like we got a bunch of good games. Looking forward to next week. And unless there's anything else, going once, going twice. Thank you, everyone.
The standings.
The standings. There was something else.
The standings in the
Oh, I
schedule.
didn't scroll down.
Screaming.
There was like
First
two
time
more
host.
things.
First time
I'm
host.
literally screaming. Okay.
All right. We got the standings. AR in first place. 4 teams at 2 wins, 4 teams at 1 win, and then the Milwaukee Bucks, baby.
Let's go, Milwaukee.
So, question: do you think that the standings as they are now, because they're split down the middle, do you think that the top 5 will say top 5 and the bottom 5 will say bottom 5, or do you think that there are teams like on the rise or on the fall?
Do you see our predictions?
So they certainly
we
have
gotta
the
see
chance to this week, right? Because it's a top 5 team playing a bottom 5 team in every game. So
Yeah.
could stay the same. I don't know. I think we're going to end up with a couple 2-2 teams, though.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can see
I'll have to get some predictions wrong for that to happen, but
I would rather
Yeah.
have enjoyable games than have my predictions right. I will say that right now. I know I'm already dog like with my predictions, but it's all about the heart of the cards and having a blast with the game for me. So if people have to take an L to help even up the scoreboard a little bit, then more power to them.
Look, if you guys
Hey.
need some tips on predictions, I'll tell you who not to go with. Okay.
Hey, honestly, just predict with the guest, because the guest is 3-1.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
True.
Also, I mean, you'd be surprised how many champions Two Hands can build Magi's on.
Oh no.
What do you mean? He just built it on every champion.
All right. Well, let's throw up the schedule and do our outro, because that's what's written down. I'm looking at it now. We got 3 games scheduled. Schedule your games, please. We got Wednesday, Friday, and all the way to Sunday. It's going to be a long wait, but it'll be worth it.
Yep.
All right.
We haven't seen what the bummer. We don't know when Deep Dive and EXO are gonna play THD versus GB. Come on, finish your schedules.
Yeah, guys, do your one is good.
Come on.
We're currently deciding which player doesn't get to come.
Oh, I see. I see.
Doomed.
Yeah.
It's whoever
It's
drinks the least in Chinese New Year this week, right?
There you go.
All right. Is it time to say thanks and bye, everyone? Because I fucked it up last time.
Bye-bye
Thanks and
now.
bye.
We're gonna
Thanks
run
and
it
bye,
back. Run it
everyone.
back.
Thank
Yeah.
you for our special guest, Miles. Thank you for our handsome analysts. And we'll see you next week.